If your boyfriend tells you straight that your hair is messing with his life, what are you going to choose? Your hair or your boyfriend? Well, this girl decided that beauty is more important than love, but her boyfriend thought otherwise. So he took revenge on her hair that he hated, and at the same time, at the girl herself. But before we move on with the story, please subscribe to our channel. Click the bell to never miss new videos. All right, here we go. Mom always told Julia any girl should have gorgeous hair. Normally, she also told her a lot of other sayings and proverbs, but Julia never remembered them. But the idea that any girl should have gorgeous hair firmly stuck in her head. She took care of it and spent a lot of money on beauty salons and hair cosmetics. And then Vince appeared in her life. For some reason, he immediately disliked her hair, though he was always ready to carry Julia in his arms. Actually, the hair was the only problem with Vince. Julia thought he was perfect in everything else. They often walked a lot, talked about different things, and constantly laughed. Vince often gave her flowers. Sometimes he did it just to please her and make her feel happy. All her friends envied Julia and her perfect relationship with Vince. But as soon as she tried to go a little further than kissing, Vince somehow avoided her. No, he didn't mind hugs or something else. But every time he stopped almost at the last moment and played the same tune. Julia should get rid of her hair. But Julia sincerely didn't understand what prevented Vince from touching her gorgeous hair. She always spent a lot of time on her hairstyle before meeting with Vince. She did complicated hairstyles. She cleaned her hair. She thought maybe he was afraid to hurt or step on it in the process, but it was all in vain. She felt offended, especially when her friends told her about their guys and their wonderful sex, but she had nothing to say. The only intimate action she had with Vince was kissing. The only sexual intercourse they had was his brainwashing about her hair. It was very hard for Julia to endure. Vince begged her at first. Then he even offered her money for a haircut. And when it didn't help, he started threatening he would cut all her annoying hair himself, and she wouldn't like the result. In the end, when Vince was out of tenants, he gave an ultimatum. He said Julia should choose, either him or her hair. Then he left, proudly slamming the taxi door. Finally, Julia decided. She took money from her mom. She was crying and saying how much work she had put into her hair, and she went to the hairdresser, where she had her gorgeous hair cut off to her shoulders in just half an hour, 15 minutes of which was spent on the negotiations with the hairdresser. At the beauty salon, they asked her whether she was aware of what she was doing. She had to repeat several times that she was. A week later, Julia was embarrassed to leave home. She hid her hair under a hat. She thought everyone was laughing at her and calling her bald behind her back. But for some reason, Vince was dissatisfied again. He told her with a sour face he meant something totally different and suggested they should take a break in their relationship until Julia came to her senses. She decided the main problem in her life wasn't her hair, but Vince. Of course, she sobbed in her pillow for a long time. She didn't feel sorry for Vince. She felt sorry for her gorgeous hair. She didn't know when it would grow back to its previous length. And anyway, would it grow back? She read a million terrible stories on the internet about hair not growing back after a haircut. For some reason, Mom was on Vince's side. She said he was a very good guy, and Julia was only thinking about herself and her desires. As if she herself didn't always say any girl should have gorgeous hair. Julia decided to live her life without him. She put on a shorter skirt. She made up her eyes and started searching for a new guy. However, it was very difficult for her to do this while she was studying at the same school with her ex. But it's funny watching Vince getting mad and trying to dissuade other guys from communicating with her. Julia even deliberately infuriated him and pretended she already had someone else. She persuaded some of her friends to call her, as if they were calling her like boyfriends. She even ordered flower deliveries to herself, directly to the classroom a couple of times. Apparently, at some point, Vince went nuts. One beautiful quiet night, Vince decided his time had come. He secretly went into Julia's house. He used the open window in her bedroom. Having checked whether she was sleeping soundly enough, he started his insidious plan. He carefully pulled the blanket back, took Julia's leg out of it, and stuck a huge wax strip to it. And then he quickly tore it off. Did you think this guy was pissed off with the hair on Julia's head? That's what Julia thought, but it turned out... While the girl had not yet recovered from the shock, Vince managed to admit he was literally infuriated by the hair on her legs. And not just on her legs. Well, you got it. Julia couldn't stand it. She screamed and jumped up in bed, slamming her heel right into his forehead. She didn't immediately understand what was going on and why her leg was suddenly so cold, and it hurt. When it came to her, she started crying at the top of her lungs. The misfortunate Avenger had to jump out of the window very quickly and escape until the angry girl was away. She threw pencils, notebooks, a flower pot, and some other garbage from her desk at his back. Unfortunately, nothing could be fixed. Now she had a terrible, ugly, bald spot on her leg, which spoiled her whole appearance. Julia sadly thought now skirts were definitely not appropriate for her to wear, so she went to the beauty salon for epilation. For some reason, her mom was crying about it, but she agreed anyway. Julia hugged her and said she would grow her hair back. For some reason, Mom sobbed even louder and ran off, slamming the door. At the beauty salon, the hair removal master looked at the bald spot on Julia's leg, and she started crying too. She even went into another room for a minute, apparently to secretly wipe her tears. Julia herself understood she looked terrible, so she thanked the master for her empathy. Then the master went out again. This time, she went out for about 15 minutes. She returned with a red face, probably from crying again. And that's where Julia's personal 2-hour hell started. At first, she wanted to limit herself only to the leg hair depilation, but the master said it would look ugly, and she offered to remove everything. Even there. Julia was just unaware of what she would have to endure, but the master promised to do everything quickly and that it wouldn't hurt. Julia agreed, but it hurt. It hurt bad, really bad. At some point, Julia remembered when she went to her grandma's farm as a little girl and watched her grandma plucking chickens. That's how she felt at that moment, like a chicken. The only difference was that grandma's chickens were dead and they didn't feel anything, but Julia was alive. The master seemed to mock her. She kept repeating it didn't hurt and that some beauty procedures are much more painful. Julia didn't want to know which ones. And anyway, any girl should pay such costs for the sake of beauty and guys' attention. It's just mandatory, because no one likes girls with hairy legs. At the end of the procedure, when Julia was ready to say goodbye to her legs and to, the thing between them, the master finally finished her off by the fact that girls normally start shaving their bodies at 15. And at 18, it's a shame to walk with such hair on legs. Then she signed Julia up for another session in a week. Julia realized this wasn't a one-time action. She became sad. She fell off the couch and crawled away, walking like a horse rider, promising herself she would never enter the door of the beauty salon again. The next day, everything itched and hurt. Julia prayed it passed soon and hoped she would never remember it. None of her friends supported her in her suffering. It turned out body shaving was quite a normal and habitual thing to do. Everyone does this, even her mom, and even some boys from her class. Therefore, when Vince came to her with an apology and with a pleased face, Julia told him off, saying no man could endure the procedure of epilation. And if he's not satisfied with her hair, wherever it is on her body, fine. Then he could find another girlfriend, but their relationship was over. But at the prom, she saw that all the girls from her class had smooth legs, and they were dancing with boys. Well, maybe body shaving wasn't a bad idea. Maybe she was wrong all this time? What do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video. Share your stories if something similar ever happened to you. That's it for today. Bye!